Hey there, welcome back to the table. So we're getting ready to start turn 3, and a couple of things I realized we forgot. The first one is this is a diplomacy card that the yellow player had, so they will get $1. And then the red player, so the Byzantine player had 2 diplomacy cards. They would get $2, but they're already at the max. And then the Romans had 1 diplomacy card, which they will use to get $1. So they all go up. Okay. So the first thing that's going to happen is Rome may abandon an area, and it says 1 area per turn. So they're going to abandon the area that the Franki are in, which is the northern Gallia Septentrionalis, or whatever it's called. Romans' armies, leaders, and fleets are immediately moved. The limitus, if any, are abandoned in place. So, excuse me. So that's what they're going to do. And they suffer a minus $10 or minus 10 victory points. So this is part of the reason why I guess they have 500 points, right? So they lose 10 points for doing that. But they're giving it to a red player, so this is supposed to be, in the long run, a good move. And then they immediately receive a tribute of a half gold per province in that controlled abandoned area. And then the Roman player immediately receives half the victory points worth of the abandoned area on the nation card, except when it triggers the Britons. So abandonment inflicts a VP penalty on the turn it occurs. So I think, so why would you get half the VP worth of abandoned area? It's really bizarre, but this whole game is bizarre, to be quite honest. Oh my, there's a kid, 2 kids, going by on a sidewalk. Sorry, I can't swing the camera fast enough to catch them. They're driving in little Knight Rider cars. All right, it was pretty cool. Okay, so here you can see the minus 10 VP, and then here you got 10 VP if they have all the provinces of each of those areas. So here's my ruling on this. I think that was an error, and I'm just going to take negative 10 victory points, but I do get money. I mean, that's the whole point of abandoning, right, is that it helps your coffers. The problem is they only need $3. And then they're maxed out. So we're just going to max them out. We're not going to bother adding it up because there's easily $3 worth of stuff there, even at half money. Okay, and so we go into the time phase here. And the player aid is very helpful for this phase of the game. So first step is the barbarian nation's age. And the federate nations can't found a kingdom. I didn't know that that was a rule, and I couldn't find that in the rule book. But even so, this is a new turn, so you don't have to be a federate. The federates only last for 1 turn. And then after, sorry, my dog is having a good time. Then after 1 turn, the federate nations can choose not to be federates anymore. So I think this is a silly insert, not necessary. So these go forward to 4, to 3, and to 2. Okay? So starting with the Alemanni, do they want to become a kingdom? They have just 1 province, and they really haven't moved. I think the answer is no for them. Then they'll be forced to do a die roll on turn 5. The Franki are a yes, so I'm going to move them to 1 on the civilized track. And then the Ostrogoths and the Visigoths, they're not quite there. I mean, the Visigoths are actually in civilized territory, so they're close. But I think they want to stay a horde 1 more turn. And they're vassals right now, so that's an interesting dilemma for them. So the blue player basically lost 2 nations to green, the Huns, which I think makes sense. I just don't know where the blue player is going to eventually start to score points. They seem like the most boring player to play so far. Actually, green hasn't been all that fun. I guess the Huns finally made it for them. But Okay, let's keep going. So the young kingdom becomes age 1 on the civilized track. They immediately get a bonus of 20 for its treasury. And the Frankie here are going to go up to 20. They were at 0. Now, the Frankie are also going to do the Catholic thing. Increase of each income of each non-heretical Catholic provinces scores them a victory point, if not pagan. So they're going to become Catholic also as part of this transition. So they're gaining control of Gallia Saturnianus as a kingdom. Now, what's interesting is because they put everything in one big mega stack, they technically don't have control over enough provinces to own the area. But I think do they get to reposition their troops at the start of the round? That would be the interesting question, because the Romans had control of the area and they're relinquishing the control. So this isn't quite the same as they needed to be in control of every province themselves. And remember, they were a federati, so they had control of multiple areas just because the Romans gave it to them. So that's the part about this game that's very confusing, is the whole control thing. But my logic has always been that they're controlling that northern France area, and that's what Rome just gave them, is the Roman France area. So if we go back, because remember, I really like the back of the rule book here. Gallia Septentrionalis, as you can see here, has all of this. And so the income would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So the income's 11 for them, and I guess we could have just read it on the board. So they're going to get 11 points from income. And then remember, Rome gets half of that. But that doesn't happen yet. That happens later when whenever the income phase happens. So that will benefit Rome to get that $11, or half of the $11. Okay. And it's during the reinforcement step that you get to rearrange your troops. But anyways, they gain $20. They get to found or grow a city. And an empty city site becomes level 1, or a 1 becomes a 2, or a 2 becomes a 3. If all controlled city sites are level 3, then too bad. The Horde is sitting on a city site, which is level 1, and it's on Paris. So we're going to make Paris a level 2. So that means I need to find a level 2 city like this, but it's not fortified, so I got to flip it over to the unfortified side, and now they have a level 2 city there, which will be worth more for the empire if they ever become an empire. Then the Horde gets flipped to become a capital, and there you go, right there, +1. Oh, and it's fortified. So hold on a second. Okay, they get to grow any city they want. So this was technically controlled by the Romans, so I don't think I can mess with Treveria. Although the Romans did just abandon it. So I guess I could upgrade that one. I don't need to upgrade this one. Basically, it's just saying +1. So this is already a level 2 here. I mean, we can make it into a level 3. Or we can make Treveria the level 3. That's a little dangerous because it's up along the border where all the barbarians are. You know what? I like the idea of making this a level 3. So what I'm going to do is we're going to just put the capital over it, and it just says +1 here. And I'm going to do like a 2. 2 + 1 to show it's a 3. And sorry about that, my dog is going nuts. Hey, stop it. Come here. Hey. Hey, enough. Oh, I'm only 10 minutes in. I don't want to end the video, so I apologize. All right, so and right here, the religion part, remain pagan or become Arian or Catholic. So I guess they do that now. So by becoming Catholic now, well, that's fine. It just means that whenever they get their income, I'm looking. Yeah, so during the income phase, that's when they score those points for non-heretical Catholic provinces, the Frankies. So yes, they're going to become Catholic. Ding, bing, yay. And I think that's it as far as, and then the other thing to remember is that on turn 2, they get a bonus of $10. There's a forced transition check, but only when they're actually age 5, the barbarians, and they're not. And so, oh, I'm sorry, that was up here. And now we're going to do the kingdom's aging, which will, right now, the only kingdom that's aging is the Persians. So they're going to 7, like so. And they get to try to transition to an empire if they want. And let's see. When any of these happen, if they increase decline, I mean, once they age to 9, their decline will actually happen. They do control 3 areas. So they do a D10. So let's roll. So I rolled a 9, which is a really hefty number. And as long as it's greater than an 8, they immediately become an empire. They get a +1 for their leader, which the other thing I don't like about this is the leader doesn't get assigned until the reinforcement step, which is after this. So I guess you would use the previous leader that's still on the board. They get a couple pluses if they're in decline. They don't have any more beyond the first 3. For each barbarian area controlled, or if they control Rome, and then they do have 1 client, so they do get 1, but it says look at the Persian player aid B. So let's do that. I do like the references in this. Even if the rules don't make sense sometimes, they do a good job of trying to reference things. When checking for a transition to empire, they get +1 per client state. Okay, yeah. When it does transition, it's going to be 3 years old instead of 1, which means it'll avoid the, it doesn't get, it won't get the bonus income. And here you're going to see the young empire. Flip the age marker to the eagle side and reset to space 1, but in the Persians, it's going to be space 3. Do not execute step C in this phase. What is step C? And that's the same here. You don't execute step B or C in this phase. Oh, they just don't age. Okay, that's fine. All right, so this flips over. Now, I think this is something that is in the errata, that there's not an eagle side to it. It's just Persia either way. And I guess one side was supposed to represent kingdom and the other side was supposed to represent that it was an empire. So it just basically, it just goes back to 3 and now it's an empire. Okay? All right. It does get an immediate bonus of 20 to its treasury, which that hurts because it's already at +40. So let me go take a quick look here. Yep, it got a whopping $1. Yeah, that hurts. All right, and then the Empire's age, so this goes to 6, and that goes to 12, and they are in trouble. The Heresy's age, so these two heretical markers go away. So actually Rome's going to get extra income from that. So those go away. The Romans, I think, get another in decline marker. They go further into decline. Let me just trying to find the player aid here for the Romans. Oh, here it is. On turn 3, the division into 2 empires occurs. Each empire is henceforth played separately, which was happening anyways. The Western Roman Empire gets a decline marker and its capital moves to Ravenna. Now that part was struck out of the record, so technically you're supposed to cross that out. Their decline marker advances. So they're going to go, this is the decline marker they have. You can see the -5. It's now moving to the decline plus, so it's now -10. And if they get another decline marker, then they have to check for collapse, which is very likely going to happen. Okay, so we aged the heresies. Now it's time for reinforcements. I actually sort of like this part of the game, even though it's a little time consuming. I think the reason I like it is because it's just interesting to see how everything comes onto the board. The military phase is actually one of my least interesting parts of this. Actually, counting income is the least interesting, but just trying to find the timetable. Okay, so this is the timetable. We are doing turn. So right here, actually, this is the part I was looking for. Okay, units move to, so this is if a displacement occurs. Barbarian reinforcements always go into the horde. If there's a federate, it has to loan something. Mercenaries. Inactive kingdoms. If the capital is not looted and it has units in a reserve pool, you get one. Else it restores and flips. So they'll get, restored. Yeah, that's it. It doesn't say anything else there. Kingdoms, when they get their reinforcements or whatever, they could go anywhere. But let's look here. We're on turn 3. So there's going to be 4 raids. The Angles and Saxons are going to raid Britannia, which is interesting because Britannia is, well, it just means they're raiding the Romans. The Berbers are going after Africa, the Kushan going after Persis. Roman Empire splits, barbarians may become Aryans. I don't know what, oh, that's a religion, sorry. So the Alemanni get 2 units and a Rex. And this is, yeah, actually this is a little annoying. So the Rex marker, I think, is already on there, out on the board. So they're going to get 2 units, 2 utes. I think somebody mentioned that. That is one of my favorite sayings. All right, so there's 1, and the first one is grabbed there. That's 2. So they got 2 of their regular infantry back, which is better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. The Alemanni are sort of struggling. They keep beating themselves up against the wall there. Okay, next are the Franks. They get 2 units and a Rex. They're no longer a barbarian nation, so I don't know if they get the reinforcements anymore. So that's the part I have to check. So I'm going to pull up the rule book real quick. Oops. This is the scenario book. Not as helpful. All right, the rule book. Okay, so since it's become civilized, they are going to have to pay for their units just like anybody else. So they don't get those 2 units in a Rex. Or do they? Dang it, it doesn't say specifically. I'm just assuming because they're no longer a barbarian. I mean, it says the barbarians receive reinforcements as indicated on the timetable unless it's a vassal. But if you if you transition to a kingdom, because they have their own section called Kingdoms and Empires, civilized nations rarely if ever receive scheduled reinforcements. Instead, they purchase new units. Some exceptions exist and are indicated on the player aids and nation cards. So, yeah, I mean, when you look at the Frankie nation card, it says they get 2 units in a Rex. I mean, I don't think that changes. So yeah, we'll give them 2 units in a Rex. All right, so they do have a Rex. They do have a Rex, so I'm just pulling out some of these name guys. And let's give them 2 units. 2 units. I don't think they can use their horde marker anymore, or their raid marker anymore, because they're now becoming civilized as a kingdom. So here's the 2 units. They're both, let's see, there's a T7 and a T8 written on those, so those come later. Oh my gosh, there's a T6 on the next one. I guess I should have sorted these out. That's a named leader. Oh, there's one. And there's 2. So yeah, there's apparently a whole bunch of units that come out at a specific time. So I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I separate those. They really only have 4 units available at the moment. So, okay, so they get these 2 and a Rex, and of course they're gonna show up at the, well, this is where it gets bizarre. They technically don't control the area at the moment because all their units are bunched up. Well, actually they do. They control the area, so it's assumed that even if they move units out of the spaces, they still control it unless somebody else takes it from them. And this is because the Romans abandoned the area. So it's a little fuzzy from a rules perspective, but I think it makes sense that that's the way it would play. So yeah, you can put these guys anywhere. So like we can put them up there, for example, to try to protect the border from the Burgundians or whatever it is that we ultimately decide to do. So the Franki are now a very solid northern defense for the Romans. So by giving up a little bit of space, the Romans can now focus on protecting Italy, which is in bad shape at the moment. But okay, so what's next? It says Ostrogoths get 2 units and a Rex. So I'm gonna throw all these units. The Ostrogoths have a whole bunch of units to choose from here. So what do we get? We have 1, 2. And I'm pretty sure the Rex is already out there. I will make sure when we go to reinforce. The Ostrogoths are in sad shape. So that choice to stay behind and defend was actually a pretty poor one. So they scored a good points though. So I can't argue with it. Maybe they should have been beaten on Romans so the Romans don't score so much. Now the Visigoths get 3 units and Alaricus and have an invasion. So they're going to get to go twice this round. Yeah, the Visigoths keep getting a named leader here. I don't know where this next... Alaricus. So they're going to get this guy. And he's got the little mountain symbol on him, so he can't get ambushed. In fact, he'll ambush others. So it's an interesting leader there. And of course, you need the mountains if you're going to go over Italy. And they get 3 units, which is actually going to be really good for them. So 1, 2, and 3. My dog is going bonkers. All right, so they go where the horde is, which is right there, and they're very close to their prize. We're gonna have to look up how does a vassal break free, you know, stuff like that. But I won't worry about that at the moment. The Huns get 6 units and Ulden, which, boy, that's a very interesting. Okay, so this is Balamir, and of course the name leaders. All right, Udin is not as good, so they get him, and they get 6 units. Holy cow! So I'm looking at. Oh, they're a nomad, so you choose the units. You don't have to do random. I think we did that wrong last time. So for example, I'm going to choose these 2 heavy units. And then I'm going to choose an archer for 3. I can choose the ones that have the elite symbols on them, but they're not, the elites aren't elite. I'm just seeing if there's any that had mountains on them. And there aren't. So 1, 2, 3. We're going to get 3 regular infantry because they need to be able to lose some guys. And of course, all of these guys go where the horde is, which is 1 step back here in, of all places, Hunia. And their leader goes on. Okay, so the Visigoths are the only ones that get an invasion. It's hard to remember. I wish you had like a special token or something. Then there's the Great Invasion. Hence the reason this game is called Invasions, I guess. The Great Invasion. So 4 allied barbarian nations, the Alans, the Burgundians, the Vandals, and the Suebi are going to ally together. Okay, that makes sense. Radagaisus goes on campaign before the first unit stack step of the allies. Only half of the allied units may activate during the first invasion unit stack step. Each horde may move during its leader's campaign. Okay, so lots of weird rules there. But basically the Alans get 2 units and Atachi. So where the heck do I even have the Alan card? haven't really been, oh, there that is. Okay, I need to reach over the camera here. So the Allen Rex goes away. Here's Itachi. So he's going to be out for turns 3 and 4. And they said that they get 2 units. So I'm just grabbing all the tokens here. Okay, first unit is an archer. And the second unit is a really nice cavalry if they ever become civilized. Oh, you know what? They're nomads, so they get to choose. So I didn't need to do random, but I sort of like those 2 choices, so I'm fine with that. Okay. That was the Allens. The Burgundians get 2 units and a guy named Gundocus. So I'm assuming Great Invasion means they go twice. So the Frankie, who just formed a kingdom, are going to get tested pretty hard here by these barbarians who want the same territory. But let me check here. The Burgundians, Gundocus, the leader, in 2 units. All right, so there's Gundocus, the leader. And the 2 units are, he's not a unit, those 2. All right. So we'll get rid of their Rex and put those on with the Horde. So they got themselves a nice little stack. Okay, next up, the Vandals get 3 units with Radagasius and Gundericus. Holy cow. The Vandals are not nomads. Gundericus is one of them. And Radagasius. So they get 2 leaders this turn. And how many units? 3. One, 2, 3. So they score points on turn 3 if they can get to Provence in Septimania, which is the southern part of France, right at the border of Spain. So that's their thing. And yeah, they have 2 leaders. They're gonna go bonkers. All right, they're done. And then last but not least is the Suebi. They get Hermericus with 2 units. So those are the 2 units. And their Rex goes away. And so these guys are all allied together. which even though they score points for different teams, they're allied for the purposes of they can't attack each other, which I think that's a good idea. All right, so then we have new nations arriving in Carpathia. Oh, this is really testing my knowledge. Where's Carpathia? They're right in Carpathia with a horde, 3 infantries, and a Rex. Oh, where is Carpathia? And of course my eyes stink. Well, we can look in the rule book here. That appendix in the back is pretty slick. They even have it sorted by barbarian sections first. So I'm just looking for Carpathia. It's in the Danubius area, which is in Germania. It's a mountain. So it's a mountain in the Danubius barbarian area. So that would be right here. So right behind all the other, Jesus. No wonder the Romans collapsed. How can you go up against all this? All right, so the Hurleys and the Gepids are both coming into the game. And I have no idea. All right, I got the Gepids out already. The Hurleys would be... Looks like it's going to be Team Yellow here. It is. They're both Team Yellow. So, well, let's do the Gepids first. They get a horde and 3 infantries and a Rex. Alright, I found the 3 infantry, I found the horde. Just looking for the Rex. And there's the Rex. Okay, so they get a Rex and then basic infantry and a horde unit. And they start in Carpathia. Like so. Rotate it a little bit over. So then the Hurley, I actually don't even have the pieces out for them. So this will be interesting. And the Gepids, they want to actually populate the Danubius area. They don't want to go anywhere. They actually want to populate the area that they're currently in and basically just become a civilized kingdom in Germany, which is pretty interesting. Now the Hurley, these guys want to go to Italy. And I did find them. And they're getting 3 infantries and a horde. I already found the 3 infantries. Just bear with me, they don't have that many units. They're going on turn 1 on the age track. Oh, found the horde. And found the Rex. Okay. All right. So they have a Rex plus regular infantry, just like the other guy. And a Horde. They start on the exact same location, which is interesting. And yeah, these guys are all sitting on $0. Okay. Hero leader done. All other nations get a Rex and 1 unit only, barbarian-wise. So I'm just trying to take a quick look to see what other nations there even is. Obviously, the inactive kingdoms would get 1, but there aren't any that the inactive kingdoms need. The Allens, the Vandals, everybody on the yellow side got 1. Everybody on the red team got 1. Everybody on blue. And everybody on green. So all the barbarians got reinforcements. There was nobody who didn't. So obviously, yeah, if you had an inactive kingdom or something, they would get 1. But everybody's full strength there. Then the Persians get Lasgardes as their leader. So let's figure out that. So this is their leader. He's a pretty crappy guy. That's who they're getting. All right. And then the Western Romans get Honorius and Eastern Romans get Arcadius. So this goes over here, Honorius and Arcadius. Okay, so the Romans are getting this guy, who's not very good. He just gets a stacking bonus. But they also get Stilicho as a general. So yeah, this is something we learned from the last time. This is the Caesar, or the leader, or the king, if you will, emperor. And then that's just a general. So when you're talking about who's inactive and who's not, he'll be inactive. The general's never inactive. So if they get a kingdom card that, or some kind of, whatever you call those, admin cards that cause them to be inactive, this guy can stay active. It's just this one that's not allowed to be active. But anyways, he sucks anyway. So that works out in their favor. So they get both of these guys. So the emperor guy would take over at the capital, and then the other one just replaces the generic Caesar. That's out in the middle of the field of battle. Okay, then for the Eastern Romans, we got a similar situation. We're getting 2, and it's Arcadius, and the general is Asparagus. And of course I can't find him. Here he is. Yeah, he's not bad. Actually, he's quite good. All right, so we're gonna get those out. And you can see that the Caesar is getting replaced. I guess we can put him back there, and then this guy would go there. I don't know if there's a rule that he has to go there. I mean, the Caesar was actually here. If anything, I would like to maybe do that to try to protect Egypt a bit. It might be a dumb move, but we'll see. Okay, that ends the reinforcement step, which is a bit lengthy. No doubt about that. Then we go to events, which is never fun. All right, so red player event. first. Play at the beginning of a military phase. They can create an alliance between any two kingdoms and barbarians, regardless of the controlling players. You just can't be under an intolerance calamity. This can be rejected. So if anything, I would think that they're going to play an alliance. So, I mean, you could... The thing is you don't need to play an alliance for the Frankie because you're controlling the Frankie yourself. So you're going to make an alliance between your two nations, whether there's one that really exists or not. It's a little silly. Okay, so then the next... Forgive me, I always forget the order of the kingdoms here. Next are the Huns, so green. Getting this next one. A tooth for a tooth. Target stat gains 2 victory points per enemy unit eliminated during its activation. This can be during a campaign. So that goes to the green player. Next is the Persians. May only be played on a Germanic nation, barbarian or civilized. Rejuvenate the target nation between 1 and 3 spaces. On its age track, the target nation also receives 5 free units placed with the horde or on its capital during the following reinforcement step. If the nation was a federate or a vassal, it's now free. So basically they can free one of the nations that are under control of the Huns. The problem is this would have been great with the blue player getting it, but it's the yellow player. The yellow player has control of the Alans and the vassals, neither of which are... But I guess he can make them younger so they could stay barbarian longer. I didn't mean to say vassals, I meant vandals. But it's an interesting event. I think it would have been better for the blue player, which is drawing now, in discipline. Play after an archery or battle round after hits have been assigned. An elite unit that has been assigned a hit is eliminated instead of flipped. This is one of those ones I'm always going to forget to play. But it's a really nice one. When it is played, it's good against the Romans. You know, those... when you're against those big elite units. Okay, event phase is over. Next up is raid. And then caravan. So... I'm going to end this video and we'll do the raids on the next video. How is this game going so far? I have a very general curiosity with how this is playing out. Like when the new nations arrive, I get excited, like a kid opening a present. I had the same feeling whenever I unlocked a new box in Gloomhaven, you know? Because, you know, you play for hours and hours and then something new comes and you're like, ooh. There are phases to this game that just exhaust me. I mean, I feel like I'm going to work. And I don't particularly enjoy those. And then lastly, I really don't enjoy controlling all the sides. That's really bothering me. The solitaire module that was supposed to come with this game, obviously it's not here. I would really like to play this with the solitaire module. Considering the comments that I've been reading from the designer, he's not happy with the solitaire module, and to that I give him an applause, because some designers rush out a solitaire module that just sucks, and he would get highly criticized for it. He's already getting criticized for the rules quality of this, but I'm very concerned that the solitaire rules quality is going to be just as bad. This game is an epic game, and of course my channel is the kind of channel that would cover something like this. I'm just running out of steam. That's really my big thing. I would like to play a different game, and I know some of you do. You comment and tell me, Jeff, play what you want. We're not forcing you to do this. It's not that. It's I bought this game. I kickstarted it, and you know how you get that Kickstarter, even when something looks bad, you still think it's good because you just spend all this money on it, so you're gonna, you know, grease a pig. I don't do that. I hope you guys know that. I criticize every game I play. This one has certainly earned its criticisms, But at the same time, this one's, it's got some charm to it. It's just that the charm is hidden amongst rules that are cumbersome. And so if we look at the board here, how is that mess going to resolve itself? I don't know. All those barbarian kingdoms are going to get to go twice because they all have invasions. I think the only one who doesn't have an invasion is the Huns. But they're all going to get to go twice. I think Rome is going to be in trouble. The Frankie are going to only try to hold northern France, the Gallia area. The Burgundy, the only ones that really want to go in there. Everybody else is probably going to, and what Frankies can do is give Burgundy the actual Burgundy area and just go further north, right? So if they go further to the north, they still get to control the area. They just give up 1 or 2 provinces. I mean, that's not as big of a deal. And they can let the Burgundy folks coexist and not kill each other senseless. And in fact, they're all going to get to score points. So it's very interesting. I think the Persians are doing well at taking the territory they wanted to take. And to be all honest, they want to take Egypt more than they want to take Constantinople. So the Byzantines are safe just by the virtue that nobody wants it. The game is not directing anybody to take that territory, although you do get some fortune and glory for finally taking it, but you really don't have to. It's interesting, it's fun, it's tiring and exhausting, all together, all in one. So anyways, I'm going to take a break, eat some dinner, and think about it some more. After learning and taking the time to learn this game, I've been avoiding the game Combat, which I know some of my viewers have been really wanting me to play. And I've been avoiding it because the rules are a mess. And after playing this and learning the rules to this, Combat looks like a piece of walk in a park. So I may end up getting Combat out. Combat really is designed to be played solitaire, so that's the other reason why I think I like it. Or want to play it. So we'll see. I might get that out. But even if I do, I'm not going to be able to play it by tonight. It's going to take me at least 4 or 5 days to get the rules down. Another thing that's driving me to continue these videos is no one else has done any. And given the obscurity of this game, no one else may ever do any. And yeah, so maybe I should at least try to finish turn 3 because that's when the first primary scoring happens for all the nations. So we'll give it a go. I think I'm just feeling tired tonight, and so I may just take a break, and I'm not going to put this game away tonight by any stretch, and we'll try again later. So thanks for watching. Stay awesome. Next phase will be raiding.